Hello, welcome to this financial aid information session. My name is Jane Haugen, and I'm the Executive Director of Financial Aid for the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University. The purpose of this video is to help new students and their parents apply for financial aid at the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University for the 2011-12 school year. You may find it easier to follow along with the information I'll be sharing if you download the PowerPoint presentation. You can find it on the right-hand side where it says Download Presentation Notes. As I'm going through the presentation, I'll mention the page numbers found on the lower left-hand corner of each slide so that you can keep pace with the presentation. I'm now on page 2. The process outlined here is the application process for need-based financial aid based on the family's income and financial circumstances, and is used to apply for government aid as well as aid from St. Ben's and St. John's. This includes federal grants, like the federal Pell Grant you may have heard of, Minnesota grants for financially needy Minnesota residents who attend college in Minnesota, and grants from St. Ben's and St. John's. Grants are similar to scholarships in that they are gift aid and do not need to be repaid. The main difference is that grants are based on families' income and financial circumstances, whereas scholarships are based on merit, such as your GPA or a talent in music or theater. The process is also the student's application for on-campus employment and student loans. Page 3. The items you will provide on the financial aid application will be used to determine your eligibility for grants, student employment, and student loans. The major items are income, both the student and parent 2010 adjusted gross income, and some forms of untaxed income, such as child support or deferred pension. Family size, number in college, and assets are also used in the financial aid formula. Assets tend to play a smaller role in the determination of eligibility, since some of the major assets do not need to be reported on the application. Those assets are equity in your family home, equity in a small business where you have fewer than 100 employees, equity in a family farm, retirement funds such as a 401k, pension, deferred pension, annuities, or 403b. Also, personal property such as cars and boats do not need to be reported. Before jumping into the process of applying for financial aid, there are 2 things listed on slide 4 that you will want to complete. Both the student and parent should complete their 2010 tax return if you're required to file. You will find it much easier to complete the process since the application will ask you to enter information from your completed 2010 tax return. While it is possible to provide estimated income information, this is not recommended, and I'll explain later. Some of you may have heard that you will not be able to file your tax return until mid to late February. The IRS announced recently that due to certain deductions being reinstated, the forms are not yet ready for 2010. If you itemize deductions or claim either the higher education tuition and fees deduction or the educator expense deduction for K through 12 tuition, you will need to wait to file your tax forms until they are available in mid to late February. The priority deadline to apply for financial aid at St. Ben's and St. John's is March 15th, so families should still be able to complete their taxes first and still meet the March 15th deadline. You will also want to apply for a PIN in order to sign your financial aid application electronically, as shown on page 5. Both the student and one parent should apply for a PIN. You may do this at pin.ed.gov. You will want to provide your full legal name as listed on your Social Security card, your Social Security number, and date of birth. Once you have your PINs, you will be ready to sign your financial aid application. For parents, if you received a PIN previously for an older sibling who went on to college, you can use that PIN, and if you've forgotten that PIN, you can retrieve it at pin.ed.gov. The financial aid application process can be different at each college. At St. Ben's and St. John's, there are 3 steps to apply for financial aid, and I'll walk you through those 3 steps in the next few slides. The first step, listed on slide 7, is to complete the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. You can access the FAFSA at fafsa.ed.gov. Please be careful to key in this URL, since there is also a fafsa.com website that will cost you $79. You want to be at the .gov site since the process to complete the FAFSA is free. The FAFSA is the application that all college students complete to apply for federal aid, state aid, and aid from the colleges. You complete one FAFSA each year and send it to the various colleges you are considering attending. The FAFSA is very user-friendly. especially if you've already filed your 2010 taxes. You have the option to start completing the form, save it, and go back at a later time to complete the FAFSA. FAFSA will save your FAFSA for 45 days, so be sure to start it when you know you can complete it within 45 days. On the FAFSA, you can list up to 10 different colleges. You will need a 6-digit school code for each college in order to list them on the FAFSA and have that college receive your results. CSB and SJU have separate school codes, and those are shown on slide 8. Women should list the CSB code, and men should list the SJU code. The second step to apply for financial aid is to complete the CSB+SJU financial aid application, and this is available at the St. Ben St. John's admission website. The form is an online form. You complete it, and it is electronically submitted to the financial aid office at St. Ben's and St. John's. While you can complete the form anytime, you may find it more convenient to wait until after filing your taxes. Once you complete the CSB+SJU financial aid application, you will receive an email asking you to print out a certification page. Sign the printed certification page and return it along with photocopies of your 2010 federal taxes to the financial aid office. As I mentioned earlier, each college has their own process for applying for financial aid. While all colleges require the FAFSA to consider you for financial aid, some require additional forms. You may wonder why St. Ben's and St. John's requires a separate form from the FAFSA. The two reasons for requiring a separate form are listed on slide 11. One reason is that the federal government selects about 30% of all FAFSA filers for a process called verification. If you are selected for verification, the colleges you are considering must verify the information on your FAFSA by collecting copies of your tax returns and other documents. St. Ben's and St. John's asks for this information up front, so there's no delay in processing your application. The CSB+SJU financial aid application can also be used to report special circumstances, such as those listed on slide 12. The most common special circumstances that St. Ben's and St. John's will consider are medical expenses you pay out of pocket, tuition for elementary or secondary school children, families who have younger siblings, or for a change in income from 2010 to 2011 due to a job loss or a one-time only income. Examples of one-time only income may be a capital gain or inheritance that you received in 2010 that will not continue into the future. The priority deadline for completing all three forms, the FAFSA, the CSB+SJU financial aid application, and submitting the certification page and copies of tax returns is March 15th and is shown on slide 13. I realize that many of you are anxious to know about financing options. St. Ben's and St. John's will notify you of your options within 3 weeks of completing the FAFSA and the CSB+SJU financial aid application. If you follow this timeline, you will have time to review the financial aid information or perhaps visit campus again before making your enrollment decision on May 1. Slide 15 reminds you of the important enrollment deadline of May 1st. All colleges where you have been accepted for admission must give you until May 1 to decide if you want to enroll at that school. Some schools may require a separate housing deposit prior to May 1. However, if you decide not to enroll at that college and notify them prior to May 1, the housing deposit must be refunded. St. Ben's, St. John's do not have a separate early housing deposit since we guarantee on-campus housing for all our students. You have until May 1 to enroll. Once you make your enrollment decision, you should submit a $300 deposit to the admission office. This deposit is non-refundable since we want to know that you have made your final college decision. The $300 deposit will reserve your space in the first-year class for housing and course registration. Thank you for participating in this session, and please don't hesitate to contact the financial aid or admission office during the coming months as you make your final college enrollment decision.